Have you ever felt like your depth sets people on edge? Like the more you think, the less you fit in. Your silence, your questions, your refusal to play along with shallow expectations. They make others, especially women, pull back, misjudge, or misunderstand you. Søren Kierkegaard once said, "People demand freedom of speech to compensate for the freedom of thought they rarely use. But you think. That's the problem. You're not dangerous because you're loud or aggressive. You're dangerous because you're unpredictable. In a world that equates predictability with safety, an intelligent man becomes a threat just by existing." Modern relationships are built on comfort, not truth. But an intelligent man is allergic to illusions. He sees through the masks people wear, questions why love feels transactional, and spots the disconnect between words and feelings. Kierkegaard warned that the crowd is untruth. When a man refuses to blend into the crowd, when he forges his own path through reflection and meaning, he disrupts the system that keeps people emotionally docile and compliant. Women don't shy away from intelligent men because they're smart. They shy away because they can't control them. An intelligent man doesn't need flattery to feel desired. He doesn't crave validation to know his worth. He won't play the puppet to be chosen. He doesn't chase because he sees that chasing is often rooted in illusion, not love. When he loves, it's with a clarity that cuts deep, not for comfort, but for revelation. That kind of presence, sharp, honest. Raw is rare, and what's rare is often rejected before it's respected. Kierkegaard wrote about despair, but not the way most see it. He called it the sickness unto death, living unaware that you're estranged from your true self. That's what culture fears most in men, that they might wake up, stop performing, and start being conscious. A conscious man can't be swayed by applause or emotional chaos. He's not driven by the need to be liked. When a man stops needing to be liked, he becomes free. And when he's free, he becomes dangerous. Why do you feel misunderstood in every room? Why does your silence make people uneasy? Because most people in this attention-driven world build their identity on being seen. You build yours on seeing. Seeing deeply makes people nervous, especially when they're hiding. Kierkegaard said life can only be understood backward, but must be lived forward. Intelligent men live forward, always observing, dissecting, understanding the roots of power, emotion, seduction, fear. What happens when a man stops falling for the surface? When he's no longer charmed by the games, he becomes unplayable. Not because he's cold, but because he's whole. That wholeness threatens the chaos of modern dating, where confusion is currency and emotional roller coasters are mistaken for passion. Kierkegaard understood this. He walked away from the woman he loved, not because he didn't care, but because he cared too much. He knew living authentically meant rejecting society's assigned roles, even at great cost. The smarter you get, the lonelier you might feel. That's not failure. It's the price of awakening. You unsettle people, not because you're unkind, but because you're unconditioned. A man who can't be conditioned can't be controlled. That's the biggest threat to any system built on manipulation, including romance. Most people aren't after love. They want someone to play a role provider, performer, protector, puppet. But an intelligent man steps outside those boxes, becoming invisible to those still trapped inside. Kierkegaard called this the leap of faith, leaving the safety of roles, systems, and shallow expectations to walk alone. It's choosing truth over comfort, even if it means embracing despair over fake bliss. That leap will cost you. It'll strip you bare, but it'll also set you free. Once you see, really see, you can't unsee. Your intelligence, grounded in self-awareness, shifts you from seeking validation to seeking meaning, peace, or something bigger. That shift is terrifying. To others, and sometimes to you, because what comes next isn't easy. Kierkegaard said, "To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself." Most men have lost themselves, not because they lack smarts, but because they've been taught to apologize for it. You were told to soften your words, dim your insights, pretend you don't see what's off, smile when it's fake, laugh when it's shallow, stay quiet when it's wrong. You were taught to be agreeable to be accepted. But acceptance that demands you kill your essence isn't acceptance, it's assimilation. An intelligent man who refuses to assimilate becomes a threat, not just to women, but to everyone who benefits from his silence. You scare them, not because you're aggressive, but because you're precise. Your words carry weight. When you look at someone, they don't feel flattered, they feel seen. Being seen is unbearable for those hiding behind masks. Most people don't want connection, they want comfort, reinforcement of their illusions. But you dismantle illusions, especially in love. For you, love isn't a game or a power play. It's not about replaying old wounds, it's truth. Truth doesn't always feel warm, it feels real. That's why you face resistance, confusion, even hostility. Your presence challenges a system that rewards performance. You don't beg, chase, or explain yourself endlessly to be understood. You walk away, not out of anger, but because your soul won't let you auction it off for convenience. That kind of man, calm, grounded, sovereign, is scarier than any tyrant. Not because he reacts, but because he chooses. Choosing consciously, authentically, is the greatest rebellion in a world of scripts. Why do intelligent men unsettle women? It's not because women are shallow or cruel. It's because we live in a world that expects performance, not presence. You can't fake presence. You're either all in or not there at all. That raw fullness is too much for most. It demands self-awareness, and most would rather stay asleep than face their contradictions. Kierkegaard lived this. He loved Regina Olsen but left her, not because he didn't feel, but because he felt too much. His path was solitary, his inner world too vast to tie to someone else. That's the paradox of the intelligent man. He craves intimacy, but won't sacrifice integrity for it. He wants connection but refuses to perform. He'd rather walk alone than dilute himself to be wanted. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. It scares people because everyone wants to be chosen. But you want to be met. Being met means the other person must be whole. To someone who's faced their own fires and unlearned their own lies. Most aren't ready, so they call you distant, difficult, cold. But you're not cold. You're clear. You don't hate women. You don't worship illusions. You don't hate love. You won't call dependency love. You've seen too much to play blind. Kierkegaard said, "The most common form of despair is not being who you are. You're chasing who you are beyond the noise, roles, and approval. That journey costs popularity, comfort, maybe love, but you gain selfhood, sovereignty, sanity. You stop needing someone to complete you because you no longer feel incomplete. That's when you become dangerous not to others, but to the system that thrives on broken men. Kierkegaard wrote, "The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself, can occur very quietly, as if it were nothing at all." That's what's happened to so many men, a quiet, spiritual disappearance. They've lost themselves trying to be likable, whatever the room wanted, until they see a stranger in the mirror. But you can't fake it for long. The tension builds. You see that what's called confidence is often arrogance. Love is often dependency. Chemistry is often trauma talking. Once you see, you suffer. Your questions ruin small talk. Your clarity offends comfort. Your truth pushes away those hooked on performance. You either betray yourself to be accepted or betray the world to stay true. Most pick the easier path, it's praised. But it's a slow death. If you're brave, you choose the second. That's when you live not safely, but honestly. This honesty shapes how you speak, work, love, walk away. A man who can't be seduced by the crowd becomes a mirror for those trapped in it. In relationships, women feel uneasy around you because you care differently. You don't chase, you observe. You don't flatter, you listen. You don't jump at every emotional cue. You choose your reactions with precision. That makes you mysterious. And mystery spooks those needing constant reassurance. You're selectively present. And that feels like rejection to those used to easy worship. You don't worship, you discern. Your intelligence, paired with emotional clarity, is like X-ray vision. You see through smiles, games, flattery. That sight rattles anyone hiding. Kierkegaard stressed becoming a self, not a role, not a performer, but a self. That takes silence, stillness, reflection, solitude, things our culture rejects. A man who sits in silence might stop consuming, conforming, apologizing for who he is. He might stop chasing what's unworthy, want to unsettle people. Don't seek attention. Speak clearly. Set boundaries quietly. Be kind, but not spineless. Be romantic, but not desperate. People shift around a rooted man, unsure what to do when he's not performing. That's your power. You don't perform. Kierkegaard wrote, "Once you label me, you negate me. You can't be labeled. Cold, no composed, arrogant, no self-respecting, aloof, no discerning. Labels are easier than reflection, so the world uses them to dull your clarity. Don't let it shake you, let it sharpen you. You weren't built to be everyone's comfort zone. You were made to be aware, faithful to truth, ready to walk into the storm to keep your soul intact. The crowd is untruth, yet most men chase its validation likes, smiles, applause. That's a trap, shaping you to please others. Not honor what's real. The smarter you get, the less applause you'll hear. You're playing for your soul, not the crowd. Your silence is loud in a noisy world. Your stillness is unsettling in an overstimulated culture. Your refusal to be emotionally on call is rebellion. That rebellion is reclaiming your mind, heart, attention. You don't owe anyone a reaction or your confusion. You don't explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding. People get uneasy when you stop oversharing. Guard your thoughts. Let your eyes speak louder than words. That's the energy of a man done being an open book. Society thrives when men are distracted. Chasing. You don't chase, you choose. That deliberate choice, rooted in knowing your worth, makes you untouchable. Kierkegaard called this the single individual, the man who steps away from the crowd in authenticity. He walks alone because most paths lead to noise, and he's after truth, depth, meaning. The more rooted you become, the more people try to shake you. You remind them of what they abandoned: their depth, integrity, silence, in love. You don't romanticize chaos or mistake unpredictability for passion. You seek alignment, peace, not performance. Your love is sacred, not hormonal. That steady presence can feel alien to a woman used to love as drama. It's not cold, it's solid. Don't shrink or hide your intelligence to seem less intimidating. Your job is to stay anchored in truth, even if it walks alone. Kierkegaard lived that solitude, mocked, misunderstood. He walked away from his love because his truth couldn't coexist with others' roles. Will you play roles for comfort or become the man you're meant to be, even if it means being feared or alone? The intelligent man seeks alignment, not approval. When you're aligned, the right people will see you, not because you impressed them, but because your silence echoes something they forgot they had. True freedom costs everything that made you feel accepted. Kierkegaard called anxiety the dizziness of freedom. When you stop needing permission to be yourself, there's no map, no approval, just you and the unknown. Intelligent men walk into that with eyes open. They don't hide in distractions or numb themselves. They face questions most avoid. Who am I without validation? They make a home in those questions. When you meet a woman, you don't possess, fix, or impress her. You see her. That seeing cuts through ego, demanding truth. Truth is a fire, it doesn't flatter. It is grounded in truth. You're unswayed by charm, unbroken by rejection. You're whole. That's why you're avoided or misread. You've stopped chasing shadows, exposing those who live in them. Your presence is a judgment. Your standard's an offense. Even unspoken. You're a mirror, and most hate mirrors that don't flatter. Your job is to reflect what's real, first in yourself, then in the world. Kierkegaard's Knight of Faith lives inwardly, guided by a deeper calling, unnoticed, not loud, not titled. He carries a light no rejection can dim. That's you embodying an identity, not seeking one. It's hard. You'll lose people, doubt yourself, face nights where silence screams, old thrills parties, flattery feel empty. You'll leave relationships built on sand, but you'll find peace, not from being liked, but from being right with yourself. That integrity is worth everything. You're not too quiet, too deep, too intense. You're becoming whole. Wholeness can't be manipulated or ignored. You're what the world craves and fears, a man unmoved by lies, even his own. Kierkegaard believed every man is called to become more in truth. What I really lack is to be clear in my mind what I am to do, not what I must know. Your transformation is becoming a man defined by commitment to wholeness. The pain of solitude, misunderstanding, seeing clearly while others play blind, it's sacred. Loneliness is your proving ground. When you walk alone, love without losing yourself, you become untouchable. You don't fear rejection, you've chosen yourself. That changes how you love, work, exist. You're rare because you've faced your potential. Most shrink. You followed the whisper through fog, heartbreak, ridicule. You're free. That freedom speaks louder than performance. You've learned to walk away when something insults your soul, to say no to protect. That peace comes from the absence of self-betrayal. Love is a mirror. The woman worthy of you sees your silence and stays. Maybe she'll come, maybe not. You'll walk your path, whole either way. Kierkegaard's pain became scripture, his questions fire, his writings a map for men who feel deeply, think fiercely, and refuse approval. If you're misunderstood, feared, called cold good, you've stopped being digestible. You matter. The world doesn't need more nice guys, charm, or puppets. It needs real men rooted in truth, who walk in silence, love without losing themselves, speak when it counts, vanish when it doesn't. If you're becoming that man, you won't be for everyone, but you'll be unforgettable to the few who see you. You'll be respected by the rare, and most importantly, by yourself in the quiet moments. Hard choices, long nights choosing truth over approval, solitude over shallow comfort. What did this stir in you? Did it make you rethink how you show up in relationships, work, or life? Drop a comment, share one way this challenged you, or a truth you're starting to embrace. If this hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone lost in the fog, and subscribe for more raw truths you won't get anywhere else. If you believe men need this now more than ever, check the link below to support the channel. Your voice matters. Your mind matters. Keep being real.